Good evening, everyone. How are you? It's great to have you here. Tonight is going to be a celebration, and I just want to say that the Spirit Cheerleaders, it's a fantastic program. I want to thank your commissioners, Mrs. Jen Cebulski and Mrs. Parisi, Kristen Parisi. They are very dedicated to the program, and they run an excellent program, as you know, and the big reason for your success is how well they do. I also want to thank all the coaches and all the volunteers that help, the parents for your cooperation and for your support. I know it's a tough program. It's a lot of work, and for the kids. So the parents standing behind the kids and taking them to practice and special training and those kind of things, you're very fortunate that your parents stand behind you. Again, it's a very demanding program. Congratulations to all the girls for another great season. We had, at Nationals, we had 2 first-place teams. The Minis were first place, I believe. The juniors got second, and the seniors got first. So, overall, excellent season. And that's due to your hard work and your dedication, determination to work so hard at your sport. And that's what life is all about. The harder you work and you do the best you can, and usually when you do that, you're certainly going to do better than if you didn't. And if you want to be successful in life, that's what you have to do. So this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Recreation Director, Andy Gallo, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. I have like 3 things to say, and I had to write it down. So, first of all, thank you everyone again for coming today. I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for allowing us to recognize these athletes before the meeting. I would stop down at practices here and there, and I got to see firsthand how hard these young ladies really work. And I also got to go up to Boston and really get nervous when they were in the pool doing whatever the heck they were doing. You know, they said, "Oh, come down, it's a good time." I said, "No, I'll be in my room, and I'll see them on the mats." So, but again, congratulations to all the girls, and if Jen and Kristen would like to come up, we'll start to recognize the individual girls. Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, we're going to hold applause until each group is done. And then when the minis are done, juniors and seniors, you could each take pictures with the mayor at the end. But I'm going to start with the mini team. I'm going to call you all up by name, and then you could come and get your certificate from Mayor White. Okay, first, Ava Haberman. Hold applause.
That applause thing
Didn't work, no.
Couldn't help ourselves.
Gia Calderon. Angelina Fisher. I don't think she's here. Melania Alfaro. Abigail Beecham. Kate Mauser. Gianna Cusinato. Ava Leto. She's not here. Liliana Scatoro. And Jocelyn Badilla. Not here. Okay. Well, that's our mini team. Okay, next we have the juniors, Liana Rodriguez. Gianna Fisher. Stella Cahill Slowick. Annabelle Albanese. Liliana Parisi. Reagan Hosey. Isabella Capello. Danica Tanaselli. Valentina Condegny. Emily Trainer. Alexa Haberman. Ashley Anevsky. Juliana Sobolski. Madeline Faber. Riley Gambassi. And Jordan Tullock. That was our junior team. Okay, now on to our seniors. Gabriella Borometti. Haley Sobolski. Juliana Sobolski.
Oh, again.
Okay. Yeah, because you did the crossover for. That's okay. It's okay. Brianna Chinamaya. Cassidy Q. Mara Doremus. Delenn Farrar. Emily Galliano. Rebecca Jaramillo. Lauren Lamonte. Alyssa Leto. Gianna Matera. Gabriella Matera. Heidi Nosh. Ava Parisi. Autumn Pirelli. Tiffany Pirelli and Daniela Pirelli. Gianna Scorzetti. Genesis Varis. Olivia Adrignola. Lexia Razi. No, wait. Okay, well, I'll just recognize them. Rachel Bell, Celia Black, Casey Hernandez, Jackie Moreno, Lawrence Montana, Natalie Russo, Brianna Vullo, and Emma Piccinini. And those are our seniors.
Great job today.
Councilman Camilleri. Councilman Accomando.
Here.
Council President Dorminio.
Here. I'd like to stand up to salute the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have a moment. We'd like to stand for a moment in silence in memory of Sister Michelle, retired principal of St. Philip the Apostle School, and Roberta Campler, retired Saddlebrook employee. Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members on May 26, 2017, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law, 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may and have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
Motion to open the meeting to the public?
Second?
All in favor? The meeting is now open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up, state your name.
Good evening, everyone. Emil Sudol, Van Leeuwen Terrace, Saddle Brook. What was the date of our last council meeting? Does anybody remember the last meeting? May?
May 4th.
May 4th. The very next day, that's when we had that big storm. And if I could approach, I got some,
Sure.
done this before. Engineer. Got some nasty stuff. You can just pass these down. Basically what they are is photos of Fifth Street. Victor Street. Flooded out. One of the DPW trucks parked his pickup truck right in the center of the road because one of the storm sewer caps, whatever you call blew off and was just spewing some really ugly stuff into the floodwaters. Fifth Street flooded out, Victor Street flooded out. It was turning onto Kern, and this problem happens several times a year. I brought this to the council's attention many times, and I just wanted to show you photographs. This is pretty nasty stuff. If there's anything, Mr. Semaluka, Miss Councilman Mazer, Councilman DiArminio, I don't see Joe, Todd's here. If we could do something, Mayor, anything to alleviate this problem. It happens very frequently. Anytime we have a major rainstorm, the water does recede quickly sometimes it don't. But just if you could see where that pickup truck is parked, I mean, that was some really nasty stuff coming out of the sewer system and going into the floodwaters, going onto the sidewalks, onto people's lawns, driveways, very close to the ball field where the kids play, Little League. I don't want your kids playing on that stuff. It's pretty nasty. I noticed in one of the resolutions tonight, I think it's 13, that you guys are looking into getting prices on paving Fifth Street. Wonderful, fantastic. It really needs it. But I'm not an engineer. I don't know if there's anything else that could be done to alleviate this problem. You know, I do understand that there was a lot of work already done to clean out the streams and pipes and all of this stuff, but this is still happening. I'm just afraid that if we pave Fifth Street and then we find out that we have to put a new sewer pipe in or something, and having to rip it all up again, would be, I'm sure it would be a very large expense to the township. Believe me, I don't want Fifth Street paved, but this sewer water stuff here is really an important issue, and I feel that, if you people can please help us out with this, because this is pretty nasty stuff.
Since then, where was that? Exactly.
Mayor?
Behind the factory,
The cinder block place and all of that,
right, that's
it's all done?
been completed. The mosquito commission, who was shared service with the county, they came in, they also used prisoner inmates to help, and they had backhoe in there and cleared that creek out, which was pretty bad.
Do you think that will eliminate this problem?
Something else that we need to do, correct it as well. That's a big part of the problem, is that's where all that water goes.
Right.
So, but now it's cleaned out, going to the back, and now that whole length of Fifth Street is clear, but there's one other thing I'm told that we have to look at, to really correct the problem. I don't know what that is, I haven't discussed it with the engineer.
if you could, you know, like I said, if there's anything you guys can do to please look into this, because it is pretty nasty and it is pretty much of a serious, frequently happening problem in this area. One other small thing I just wanted to bring up is where the ball field is, directly across the street, there's a little park, playground, jungle gym thing there. You know where I'm talking about? On Kern. Very frequently I see grandparents with their grandkids or moms taking their kids to go on the jungle gym, and there's really nothing there. There's nowhere for them to sit. There's no park bench or picnic table, or if there's anything that you guys can do to maybe just put one picnic table there, or just something for the because you see these seniors standing there, and you know, while the kids are on the jungle gym, and it would be you know, nice for them to somewhere, you know, sit and have lunch with their kids, or you know, whatever. Maybe we can get our
That's a good
township attorney or township engineer to donate something and help us out here. Would be great. No.
Or
Oh, you
maybe a memorial bench, you know, a lot of people want to do memorial benches.
Great
and
idea.
That would be something that might be,
Maybe a generous resident that
Yeah.
lives on Victor Street,
Van Loon.
Van Loon.
I'll show you where to put it, you know. One other issue that I just wanted to bring up, and I really didn't want to go here, but I will. Recently, you guys hired an attorney to look into a zoning board member for wrongdoings or whatever. Has that investigation been completed?
Please.
Yes, it has.
And what was the outcome?
Well, a couple of things. So we did get a report. Recommendations were made by the report with regard to what the township should do, and with regard to certain procedures that should be followed. And the township council followed and went forward with regard to these recommendations. And it's still presently an open issue. So I don't, at this point, think it's a great idea, or I shouldn't even say great idea. I don't think it would be permissible at this point to discuss until it's concluded, because it is technically a matter that was for executive session. But I can tell you that the report was done, we accepted it, we met with the attorney, and we're following through with regard to the recommendations that were made.
Was any wrongdoings found?
At this point, like I said, I don't want to discuss it in open session at this point in time. I think that when the matter is resolved, right, that's when I think I'd be more comfortable discussing in an open forum.
So maybe by the next meeting, we'll have, I could find out.
I have to look at the dates, because there are certain dates that needed to be met with regard to some of the recommendations.
Okay.
But certainly, you know, at some point when the matter is concluded, then it would be ripe for a limited discussion publicly in terms of what can be discussed. There's also certain matters that are involved with that, you know, that involve personnel, employees, and things of that nature. So, you know, it is in certain respects a matter that does call for some confidentiality. However, at some point in time, like I said, when the matter is resolved, we will gladly disclose what can be and should be disclosed to you and upon your request.
Okay, fine, that'll do. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Anyone?
Larry Tychek, 92 Claremont. Just a suggestion on them pictures that Emil showed. I don't think the road should be paved, because there's no way that you can pave a road with raw sewage coming out of it. Whether them streams have been filled out or back, cleaned out or whatever. That problem's gonna be there. It's always been there, and it's gonna be a continuing issue until whatever is fixed. like I say, the rainwater is mixing with the sewage, and that's what's happening there, and it's pushing it up. And you have an empty building, which is probably gonna be developed within the next 2 years, Amloyd, and they're not even hooked up yet. So you can imagine the amount, when they're hooked up, with another big building like that is gonna happen. We'll only be wasting our money paving it. Like I say, we've been working on the road for 40 years, we'll still be working on it for another 40 years. There's definitely problems there that need to be fixed. I don't know if we can ever stop the people from hooking their sun pumps up to the sewers, but I believe that that is a big problem there, in that area. Just the illegal hookups of the sun pumps into the sewer, and the system just can't handle it. So I don't know whether, like other towns, they go on a permit basis for a sun pump, it's inspected yearly. I mean, you can't stop the person from re-hooking it back up after it's inspected, but, I mean, if they need a plumber to do it, I don't know if they're gonna keep it every year doing it with a plumber. So like I said, I hope we make a decision on the, on repaving it and suspend it and don't do it. Last Tuesday, the senior housing guy was here, and I just find it very odd that he never attends a council meeting. He always attends a work session. And like I say, the questions are limited from the council. I just don't like his answers that he gives and has for us. I mean, one of the things that he's trying to do, or whatever, is get the building knocked down without DEP approval, saying that it's an emergency, that there's asbestos there. Now, I mean, Todd, you know it, and Mayor, you know it. The Bergen County's been training there for the last 5 years.
Yeah, but just through the chair,
Go ahead.
he didn't blame the asbestos on it, because that was my question to him Tuesday night.
Go ahead.
He blamed it being unsafe.
Unsafe, the building.
It's
But I mean,
yeah,
how
because that
do
was
we
my
let,
question,
okay,
asbestos.
how do we let people train in there
That was my
if the
question
building
Tuesday.
is unsafe? All of a sudden, out of nowhere now, the building's unsafe now. It's been standing there for 50 years or 60 years or 100 years. Now, all of a sudden, it's unsafe. Like I said, I just don't like what's going on. He doesn't have good, solid answers. They're not, you know, are the funding's in place, this isn't, they're not solid answers. He doesn't want to make a commitment, you know? It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I would have a hard time trusting him if I was in a business venture with
He
him.
will be at the art
I
meeting
know,
in
but
August,
Karen,
but
we
that
need
will
him-
be a whole 2-hour question
We need him
answer.
here, let him go on TV and let the whole town see him, not just 100 or 200 seniors. I mean, they don't know what to ask them. I mean, some of them do, some of them don't. But let him come here. He doesn't, like I say, he's very evasive and very, I just, like I say, I just don't trust it. And I don't like that answer that he gave, that we got to do an emergency knockdown now because it's unsafe. Like I say, like I told you on Tuesday, if that building's unsafe, what do you call Carucci's? What would you call that? Safe? Good, that roof's caved in. I don't even know if that roof's caved in. I know Carucci's roof is caved in. I know there's broken windows in Carucci's. I know there's food in Carucci's. I know there's animals in Carucci's. I know the Bergen County Police Department or Sheriff's Department isn't training in Carucci's. I know that, right? They wouldn't. That's a building that's unsafe. So if we're going to move or like I say, let's get the buildings that we know. Like I say, Amloyd's been up here. Amloyd's been an eyesore for 10 years now. We don't do anything with that. Now all of a sudden this thing is very dangerous and it's unsafe. Like I say, I don't like the way that we're proceeding here with him under his guidance. Put it that way.
He will be back in July.
But can we have him at a meeting instead of a
Is there a difference?
work session?
Council meeting?
I mean, you know, 2 people come to a work session. That's it.
I'm sorry?
I mean, that's more, you want to just, I just thought when you bring someone to your regular meeting, that's when you're officially going to either take action or there's some decisions. I thought the work session was just for discussion with respect to, you know, the broad issues that he's discussing, which is kind of what he just brought up, involving, you know, the possibilities. But there's, at this point, right, when he does come to a regular meeting, would that be when you're gonna finalize and formalize whatever it is that's being proposed? Because
No, there's nothing to.
That's what I mean.
No,
So
he's
not-
just,
Nothing to act on.
no, he's just coming, he's coming to bring the rendering of the building. So we'll invite him to come to. the
Yeah, but I mean,
council.
he should even come with that. I mean, I had to ask him for that. The council asked very few questions. And I mean, when you have a guy that's supposed to be that valuable, I mean, you should be able to drill him and get your answers from him. And be prepared. But like I said, there was very few questions asked. And like I said, we should have a drawing of it. The other thing is, what's happening with Veterans Field? I know, Todd, you said you were giving them 10 days. That was last month.
Well, yeah, the chair.
Sure.
The engineer and I believe we, the township, gave them 10 days to respond, correct?
Anthony?
Yeah.
And right now, it's 10 times 3 is 30.
Is
That was
this what we're
last month.
discussing in the,
Closed session.
closed session? So, we are hopefully going to have a final decision on the matter tonight, but we have a executive session because there's another attorney involved.
See, I thought when you said 10 days, boom, 10 days, that's it. The day, if we met on, the last meeting was May 4th, I think somebody said?
Yes.
May 14th is 10 days.
Yes.
That's
So-
the, then,
we
so
do-
today is June
Well,
1st.
we did our in that period, I
Yeah,
can
the
just
10
tell
days
you
we
that.
did, we have another bill, could I say this? Or?
I mean, we did do due diligence that was necessary with regard to moving forward on this. We've had meetings, there was a changeover with the engineering, now Rick is the new engineer here, and he had to come up to speed, and we had a meeting with the representative through the bonding company. We have one direction that we can go in, however, there may be another option that's out there. I don't want to go into it in detail, right, that we're going to discuss in the executive session.
Well-
But I'm assuming tonight, are we going to come out and then vote on, is that what we're going to do? Is
I
that
would
what-
think so.
Is that what the plan is?
Like I
Right,
said,
so
when,
this-
we have to make a decision. I mean, if you give somebody a 10-day time frame, that's May 14th. We should be ready to make a decision May 15th. And here we are, June 1st, and we're just maybe talking about it tonight. And if it doesn't get finalized, we go another month. Let me ask you this, do you have another contractor lined up? You don't have to tell me.
Other than the one that has been proposed by the bonding company?
Yes.
Because that contractor has been proposed to us with regard to finishing the job. I don't think there's been another meeting since that meeting, right? So you couldn't have discussed it anyway unless we had the public meeting, which is why we're doing it tonight, correct? I mean,
Correct.
since the last meeting, right? We've been, in order to be able to meet, we can't have a public meeting, otherwise, you can't have all the council people present, otherwise it's a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. So the mayor, myself, the administrator, and then it was Tom Amanowitz, now it's Rick, Arango, have been meeting with the appropriate representatives. In fact, as late as today, I communicated with the attorney. We are ready to move tonight, from what I can tell, and if we can. There's only just one other issue that needed to be resolved, and that should be resolved tonight, I hope. And if it is, then we're ready to roll. Everything's in place one way or another.
Okay, do you think maybe that we could send the DPW there or whatever and clean that up a little? Because it, like I say, it looks like, weeds are that high. Was an old cooler there. There's all trash, and it's just trash.
They are, Larry.
Huh?
They are. They've been notified to.
They've been notified. As of when?
As about a week and a half ago, and I know
And
that
it takes
Memorial
that
Day
long? I
parade
mean,
to-
I was there Sunday. That cooler's been there since the snow. There's a water cooler there, there's garbage there. I mean, it looks trashy. I mean, even if we're not building, try to keep the site clean.
we are.
There's clean construction sites and there's dirty ones. And that one's a dirty one, and that one belongs to the town. It's an embarrassment there. Like I say, people pull in to use the field, and that's what they see. It looks horrible. Looks horrible.
Clean it up, Larry.
I mean, I mean, we gotta do things like this. They're not hard things to do. Okay, that's that. Usually, Mayor, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I agree with you on a lot of things, and I happen to disagree with you on the letter that you wrote in the community news or whatever you pay it involving the crossing guards. I said last month I gave the math, and I'm going to do the math again. And I'm only going to use 10 crossing guards as an example. Okay, just 10. I don't know how many we have, and I don't know how many are dispatched for that lunchtime thing. The lunchtime is an hour and a half. If the crossing guard makes $20 an hour, it's $30 a day. They work 180 days a week, as the mayor stated. Do 30 times 180. Do the math, okay? It's $5,400 a year. It's a 4-year contract. It's $216,000 it comes out to. For that amount of money, we can hire 2 full-time cops for the money, and we're only having the extra protection out there for 180 days, and it's only for an hour and a half every day at, say, 10 locations. If you would take that money and put it into hiring 2 extra cops, you have them all the time. And like I said, we said it's give and take. They asked for 2%, correct, Pete?
They asked for more, but.
Okay,
yeah.
but you gave them
I would-
1.75. Do you know the difference on $100 between 2% and 1.75? You know what kind of difference that is? We should be on the other end of that. You know what I'm saying? Not giving out what you're giving them out. It's just money that's foolishly spent and foolishly wasted. And we don't, you know, it's going to end when they retire. So what happens if the person works another, just the contract? If they work for 4 years, that's what it comes out to. And that's only 10 crossing guards. And I'm sure we put more than 10 out there. And are they a union or no? Non-union or not?
Association.
Huh?
They have an association.
An association, but not a union. You didn't go against the Teamsters or anything like that, did you?
Not with
No, but they pretty well shook you down for that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would like to have that negotiator. Or I would like to negotiate a contract and have somebody lay down for me like that. We can't do it. You can't give the store away. And that's what we're doing. We're giving the store away. Put that, like I say, if we need that extra protection and we need them people crossing, hire 2 more cops. Say, what would be better for the town, the safety of the town? 2 cops or 10 crossing guards? I mean, I'm old too. I can't see good. But if you asked any of them 10 and lined them up to tell you to give a license plate number of a car that did a hit and run, I don't think 10 out of 10 would give you the license plate number. You'd get nothing. They see a blur just like I do. Where an officer or a police officer is trained to do that. Okay? So, like I said, that's bad negotiating, bad contract, and you can't try to justify a bad contract. And that's what it is. It's a bad contract. Let me see. The other thing, like I say, I discussed Tuesday with you, and I didn't seem to get an answer, was what happens when an employee or a board member has charges against him. Are they suspended, or are they still allowed to sit on the boards and still tell people what to do and what not to do when they're in violation of it? I believe that the town or the council or the mayor should, whoever it is, suspend that person till they go to court or their thing is done. If they're found guilty, they're dismissed. If they're found not guilty, they're reinstated. It's that simple.
Yeah, so
But-
I mean, to the chair, just in issues regarding the boards, they're autonomous bodies, that issue should be brought to that board.
But you know what? That's why I said to you on Tuesday, if the zoning board is an autonomous board, the zoning board should have investigated me, not the council.
That-
And we didn't have them rules. See, I don't care who investigates me. When I don't do nothing wrong, I don't do nothing wrong. Okay? But you can't make a rule for me, you can't make a rule for him, and you can't make a rule for him. If we're all going under the same rules, we'll play by the same rules. And that's the rules that we should play with. Because I was a member of the zoning board, correct? And the zoning board, you just said, is an autonomous board. So why did the council step in and investigate me? Or hire an attorney to investigate me?
So, 2 things. The first is that, being that it's still an open issue, I don't think that it's a good idea
It's,
to get
like I
involved
say,
with.
like I say, eventually it's gonna close, so, you know, don't worry about it.
Okay.
But, you know what I'm saying? We're playing with 2 sets of rules here.
Well, the other thing is that if, I don't want to get into the mechanics of the way the whole issue ended up being opened through, the.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, and I don't care whether it's in litigation or whatever. It was a retaliation whistleblowing suit. I turned Mrs. Mazur's son's building in for an illegal apartment and an illegal use, and they retaliated against me. And that's exactly what the whole lawsuit's going to be about. So you have your end of the investigation, and I have mine. But the dates and the timing and everything matches up to, almost to perfection. And that's what happened there. And, after, cooler heads prevailed now, I don't think it was such a good idea on the town's part to do what they did.
I mean,
There's two sides to every story. So, like I said, the judgment day will come, and, the questions will be answered.
I think that they followed the recommendations of an independent attorney. They didn't do anything in terms of.
But still, the zoning board, like you said, is an autonomous board, not the council. The zoning board is an autonomous board. The zoning board takes care of the zoning board, correct? If it's an autonomous board?
The zoning board is appointed by the council, it's autonomous.
You're not answering. Listen to me.
Correct.
Listen to the
Yes, it is
question again.
autonomous.
Listen, you're a lawyer. You're good at this. The zoning board is an autonomous board. The zoning board takes care of itself. It polices itself. Yes or no?
To some degree, because then in
No,
the end, the
it's a-
statute allows for the township council
Right.
to.
Put it this
remove.
way. If there was criminal activity on my end or bribes being taken or anything else, then you get the police involved, you get the prosecutor involved, you get whatever. And the investigation is handled very quickly. But when you're looking for something or you're looking to take somebody out, you got to bend the rules a little, and you got to, flex the rules. And that's exactly what happened here. And we're not doing it in a case where we should be doing it. Because I know if I was a resident and I was denied something by that vote, I would be back in here, and the town is leaving themselves open for more lawsuits for people who have been denied.
I can only say that matter that you're talking about is being handled in the appropriate channels. I'm sorry.
That's what.
It's being handled in the appropriate channels, and then as for the authority of the township council, in the end, again, the final removal vote is through the council.
Right. But I'm just saying, the rules should be the rules for everybody. And we should have a set of rules in place when something like this happens. Because how would you feel if you were denied? By that person sitting up there, and he's, doing what you want to do, and you were denied. And he's been doing it for years. You would say, something's wrong with this town, right? Or something's wrong with this board. Who's that guy to sit up there and tell me I can't do this, and yet he has it? Like I said, that word again,
Sure.
preferential treatment.
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Just want to clarify. What you're saying is that the council should have some kind of a operation in place.
The town. I don't care if it comes from the mayor, the council, or whoever it comes from.
Is that if a zoning, let's go to planning board member has an issue involving zoning or planning, or any kind of issue?
Well, I think the mayor, if
driving.
it was criminal, what is
Let's
it?
say Just drunk driving.
Drunk
A zoning
driving?
board- Zoning board member gets arrested for drunk driving.
I
Should-
think
should they
the
be
mayor would
suspended?
step in and handle that, because I don't, if the person's found not guilty, fine. If he's found guilty, I wouldn't want him on a board. I wouldn't want to make a drunk driver making decisions for me. I'm sorry.
in
I
the
might be
meantime-
prejudiced, but I wouldn't.
In the meantime,
Right,
while that person is under investigation.
Right.
And possible prosecution, however it goes.
right.
Should that person not be on the board? mean,
I
is that-
say yes, because what happens is they play the court system, and you drag it out. If you're not guilty, you want to go to court right away and get it resolved. If you're guilty of doing something, you want to prolong it. And that's what's happening here. The summonses were issued in November. We still haven't gone to court yet, that I know of.
Well, you don't have facts. I don't think the council should discuss anything based on, an open issue here, and I don't think.
Right, but I'm just saying, I'm asking the town if they could look into putting something in place and treat all members the same.
I think the MLUL does address these issues, and I think that in terms of procedures, there were certain procedures followed they took themselves out of being personally involved in the issue by having an outside attorney come in who did make, quality recommendations, and we're following through with that.
Okay, that's on my end of it. What happens on the other side when somebody,
I mean, I don't know if it's a good idea to talk about a matter that's still ongoing there too, but apparently the appropriate,
hey, you know what?
you would say
I wouldn't
agency,
feel
right?
bad if you came to me and said, Larry, we're gonna investigate you, but right now, you're on suspension. If I have nothing to hide, I would say, fine, suspend me. When the thing comes back in, if I'm not guilty, I go back on. If I'm guilty, I go off. That's all. It's that simple. But, I mean, you have to have some kind of a plan or some kind of a punishment or removal while that person is under investigation.
Well,
You don't want,
this is the United States of America.
right, you're innocent until proven guilty. But
And-
certain
and in this
things,
case-
like I said, you voluntarily go out. If you want to fight it, fine, fight it. But you should be, man enough to step down and say, look, you do your investigation, you do. If I'm guilty, I'm out. If I'm not, fine. But don't stay there and tell other people what they can do and what they can't do when you're guilty of doing it.
I can tell you firsthand, based on personal experience, that when people want you to step down, or when you step down or resign from something like that, that gives the wrong impression to the public. You look like you're guilty. So in this case, if this is an open, ongoing
No,
issue,
it's not step down. It's just, you're on suspension or whatever. That's all, till the investigation is completed. That's all. You're not fired, you're not, whatever, you're suspended until your case comes up or your case is heard. Because like I said, you can drag it out for a year, 2 years. You can keep it in court. And it's just, put it this way, it's not good business, and it just doesn't smell right, put it that way. I'm sure the people that were denied would like to know that, that came in for applications and were denied certain things.
Through the chair.
They would like to know it.
I mean, you're talking about, you should take yourself off. It's no secret, and you know it, and you're not embarrassed by it.
No.
but You had complaints filed against you.
I would still don't know what they are
No, no, no.
and by
I'm
who.
talking about in the past.
Oh, in the past, sure.
Assault complaints,
Sure,
harassment
everything,
complaints.
right, I did everything.
Did you take yourself off the board while those were pending?
I don't believe I was on a board
None?
back then. I don't think
Because
so.
there were
Andrew.
three, I know of three.
Really?
And that's what, you
Well,
weren't,
there's a lot more than three.
oh,
But
And-
I don't
and
think
at
I
no
was,
time
I don't think
you were
I
on
was
any
on
board?
a, I don't think so.
okay, I just.
I
didn't know.
don't know. If you can look it up and
No,
find it.
I'm not going to. I
But
just
you know what?
didn't know if
There's
you
a, well, I don't want to do it because then you're picking petty Andy. But I'm just saying if it involves what you do, like if you're a zoning official or a planning official and you're charged with something, it's right in that thing. That's what should be. Yeah. Okay, like I say, I would appreciate if the town would do that. The other thing I asked Pete about the reassessment, I asked you about Park 80.
Yes.
We did the reassessment on that.
I have some information for you, as you requested. Checked with Associated Survey that did the assessment, and I got an email back from him today. All commercials were visited, inspected, and sent income and expense requests, Chapter 91, via certified mail. So they were all inspected physically.
The whole Park 80 Plaza.
Yes.
And what
Every
was, and
building.
that guy did that for the $75,000 this year, including all the houses. He did all the commercial businesses. It's impossible. It's impossible.
His email. that
Well,
says
I'm just
that.
telling you, it's impossible to do Park 80 Plaza, Zuckerberg's, the Marriott, and all of that, all for that $75,000. The people that he had walking around the house, to do the houses, I told you, were not licensed in anything. Okay, they went around with an iPad, and they just did this, how many bedrooms you have. They'd be lost in Park 80 Plaza. They wouldn't be able to find the elevator. Nothing against them. Okay, and not for $75,000. That building alone would cost over $200,000 to do an appraisal and an assessment on. Just that building alone. That's one of them. So we're not getting what we're paying for, or we're not. Put it this way: we're not paying because we're not getting anything. We're getting a drive-by. That's it. That's what we're getting, a drive-by. That's another thing that's not a good thing. Let's see, property property maintenance. The other thing is with the property maintenance. I see some things have been corrected in town that I brought up out here, but as far I know, there's a house on Victor Street. I know the person personally that lives next door. They've called 3 times, and the grass is over 2 feet tall. I gave that address the last time I was up here. There's more on Hobson, there's more on Dewey, there's more on the Boulevard. I mean, they're all over the place. The one on Victor Street, like I say, with Little League right there, you can't miss that. And there's Little League games there every single night. It's an abandoned house. Like I say, I don't know what we wait for, what height do we reach before they go and do that. The other thing is, the last question I have, Mayor, is to you. I asked you a couple of months ago about the sanctuary city thing. Have we ever reached what we do or what we're gonna do?
With regard to that, I personally feel that there's no need for Saddlebrook to become a sanctuary city, and I'm gonna tell you why. In New Jersey, the Attorney General has issued a directive, okay, to all police. And basically what that directive says is that the only time someone, a regular police officer, can check into someone's immigration status is as if they commit a serious crime of violence or DWI. Otherwise, they're not allowed to, they're not supposed to. As far as ICE, immigration, coming to Saddlebrook, I personally wouldn't want to give our police the wrong idea. I wouldn't want to say, look, you can't assist ICE.
Right.
That's their jurisdiction, that's what they get paid to do. So I wouldn't ask my police to break the law. If ICE comes in here and says, look, we're gonna go to this house and make this arrest, we have illegal people living there, I wouldn't want my police to be put in a situation where, an awkward position, where they gotta violate the law.
Right.
It happens so infrequently. I was a police officer for 33 years.
Right.
I can remember one time when they did an investigation. I know they're ramping it up now, although from what I've read, there really isn't that much more enforcement than before President Trump took over. So I may disagree with the policy, but I'm not gonna put our police in that predicament where they have to choose between violating the law and doing what me and the council direct them to do by saying that they shouldn't listen to ICE or shouldn't get involved in any immigration issue. Well, it's really out of our jurisdiction. We don't do it. So
Okay,
that's the way I feel about it.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening. Omar Rodriguez, 275 Madison Avenue, 4 times council president. I'm here after a couple months, I think, 3 months. I don't even remember, I'm getting old. But I noticed that Mr. Ratajczyk now, I guess, used the calculator that I gave to Mr. Similuka. He was quick with the numbers, I'm glad to hear that. But I'm hearing too many things and I'm a little sad. I came to talk about other issues, but as taxpayer, I think it's going to cost us a lot of money, and I said it a few months ago. By the comments I'm hearing, and I don't know much about the case, it's going to cost the town big money, and I hope that it doesn't cost any of you elected officials personally out of your pocket. I hope that the town have covered all their bases. I hope that the investigation.
Do you have a question?
Excuse me?
Are you asking a question? I don't know what you're talking about, Omar.
Even though I'm just following through the conversation that just happened, and I'm just gonna, through the chair, I'm trying to say that the attorney just mentioned something that I think is wrong by saying that the zoning board, even though that is right, is an autonomous body. They should start the investigation. They should trigger the investigation to one of the members. I hope that we have covered all our bases, because at the end of the day are the taxpayers who are going to pay. With that, I don't want to elaborate because that's sensitive, I think, and it's an ongoing. But just one more thing that it was noted. I also disagree with the attorney when he says something about finding guilty. I don't know, again, much about the case, but if someone is in violation, like I was with a gazebo that I put in my patio, they came, they gave me 48 hours or $500 fine if I don't remove it because I was half foot within the borderline of my neighbor. What I hear tonight is if someone is in violation and now is making an application for a deep variance, meaning that they need a lot of different variances, it means that something is being operating illegally. If it would be legal, there would be no need to apply now for a deep variance. Therefore, the question is valid. How can someone that is making judgment or rulings is already in violation and is still making decisions on other cases? I think his predicament is valid. And that should be seen from a different angle. For the time being, I will say, it's up to the council, but mainly to the mayor. I think that the mayor, with all respect, should call for a meeting, planning board, zoning board, because the same items that they being discussed by apparently this gentleman that is being reprimanded, investigated, whatever, some of the other members are doing comments that maybe they shouldn't be doing about other properties. So I guess it's within the power of the mayor, in order to avoid any liabilities in the future, to call for a joint meeting of the planning board and zoning board and dictate the rules. And I know very well, and you know also, that it was a property, and I'm glad that you did that he, in the planning board, is not allowing any property that is less than 65 by 100. Because that's what the law, that's what Brook is all about, 65 by 100. A lot of you will say, well, I got a 50 by 100. You are non-conforming. But now this new mayor came and said, you know what, we need to start a new page, and it's going to be 65 by 100 for a house. For a house. It just cost a homeowner in Catherine Avenue. It cost them more than $65,000 in litigation to go through the whole process in Superior Court. One homeowner. Now we're talking about, what, 50 by 100 or whatever property for a commercial, mixed use. I think is the role of the mayor, what vision he wants for Brook. With that, I'll rest my case on that one. Thank you for that. I would like to say, also I would just like to bring it up to your attention. I read that a few weeks ago, not long ago, 2 weeks maybe, the budget was adopted. It was going to be a special meeting. I think that it will be in the best interest of the township that those meetings are made in the public, that you vote with a TV, so everybody at home, that is the ones that are going to pay the taxes, actually should be able to see the interaction that happened between the professionals and the elected officials. I hope that through the chair, Council President, that you take that for the next budget meeting, because a lot of people at home, and especially seniors, are wondering what is going to be the tax rate. But more than that, I would like to know what is going to be the tax levy for this year. I didn't see on TV, even though that I'm going to request through Oprah, I have to request the entire budget to read it, because now is my understanding has been adopted. I would like to know what was the tax levy for this year, 2017.
I think we mentioned it, we did was an amendment to the budget, and that's why we had the special meeting. We had the public hearing at the public meeting of the town, regular council.
Has it been adopted?
It's been adopted.
Yes, and
We
the
had to do an amendment, which didn't affect the
Okay.
budget.
So it's being adopted. If it's being adopted, then the tax levy, it should be very close to you because it just happened a few days ago.
I gave it to you, I believe, 2 months ago when you asked.
No,
Yes, the municipal tax rate.
Mr. Administrator. What I asked at the time, and I think that I can go to the camera, was the tax rate.
Yes, which I
Okay,
gave.
now I'm asking, what is the tax levy? Do you know what is
We
the
don't
tax
know
levy?
yet. We don't know yet. We just sent it to the county. The county Board of Freeholders adopted their budget, I believe, last night.
Okay,
And once the county gets all the information.
through the chair,
we
through
will
the
have a
chair,
tax rate.
through the chair. I don't want to knock down right here nobody, but it's just for the education of all the residents that are watching these council meetings at home, and they have to get something good out of these meetings. It's not about debating, fighting, or nothing. I wonder, and I'm going to open the question to any, through the chair, to any council member or any elected official, or any professional either. Can someone tell me what is the tax levy? What is the meaning of tax levy? And the sub-question will be, what is the amount of tax levy for 2017, please?
I don't have the budget in front of me, but we did have a public hearing in May. The auditor was here. That was the time for questions.
Okay.
I'll be happy to respond to you in the future.
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me. I didn't bring the
All
budget
right.
with me.
Through all of you, and through, especially to the viewers, that is the people that
Through
actually
the
would like to
chair,
hear. Yes,
Ms. Almars, through the chair.
through the chair. I'm sorry, Council President, you're right. The tax levy is the revenues of the town, including the grants that we receive through state or federal government, minus the appropriation. That equals the tax levy of the town, which means that that's the amount that the municipality will get it through taxation. Once we get the tax levy, we divide it by the total of the assessment value in the entire town of Sutter Brook. That equals to the tax rate, which is applied to the tax, to the assessment value of each home. And that should be common knowledge to every single resident and not to every single elected official. That's basic municipal budget, ABC. Why am I saying this? We all the times blame county, library, Board of Ed, municipality. A couple months ago when Mr. Lodico I was asking about the tax rate. Tax levy got nothing to do with the tax rate. So I was just wondering, because from top of my head on 2016, just to give you an idea, it was $16,781,000, the tax levy for 2016. So I want to know if the tax levy has increased, and if it's increased, due to what? Are we gonna do more of this, more of that, less of this? That's what the tax levy tells you. What are we gonna do in the fiscal year 2017? Since I didn't hear no answers, I guess, I don't know next month if I'm gonna come, but I'm gonna request through Oprah, I'm gonna come and fill out an application to have the budget, the adopted budget. I will have some questions because I'm gonna move forward now since I didn't find no answers on the budget. But I hope that is clear. Unless someone got any questions, and I can just enlighten you about anything right here. But I want to know about the roads.
I'm just gonna say, I don't wanna give you a wrong number, but I mean, we have an estimate, right? I mean, it's around 20 million, isn't it?
The total
That's-
budget and the tax levy is less than that.
Right.
Because we didn't increase that much.
No, the total budget is totally different than the
Yeah.
tax
Yeah,
levy.
The tax levy, which, as Mr. Rodriguez tried to point out, is just what the people are paying in taxes, minus
Right,
other
right,
revenue.
I understand exactly what he's
That
saying.
went up minimal because we're going up on an average home, $32.
Well, by the way, if you got the budget, the temporary budget in front of you, I can tell you on which page. You
don't
can
have
read
the
it?
budget. I
No?
didn't
Oh,
bring the
okay.
budget with me
Because I can
tonight.
tell you, but again, it's the revenues minus the appropriation equals tax
The
levy.
tax, what the people are going to
The
pay in
tax
taxes.
levy.
Right.
Tax levy, not the tax,
But
tax
we're
levy.
talking
we
a minimal amount, 1.something% of the budget, the total budget.
So now-
is the increase.
Since, Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a request, if I may. When and if through the chair, when and if. First, let me point it out to you right here. I believe there was, as a council member, as a former council member, and council president, I've been all the times vouching for the police department. And also from the audience when we needed police department. Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Right. The tax levy, 17,276,073.
That's the tax levy. So it just went up, I will just make it into points. And I will just do that and try to get, by the assessment, the average is 320 something thousand, so I will just get a tax rate on that one, and I will work on my numbers, but I will request the adopted budget. Thank you, Mayor. So now, knowing that, in the past, and I mentioned right here, and it took me like a year and a half to try to convince the mayor to adopt an ordinance in order to eliminate the position of deputy chief of police when and if now Mayor Robert White got elected and he resigned from his position. So the ordinance got a lot of hurdles, but before he became mayor, an ordinance was adopted and is saving the town millions of dollars down the road. So now I got a request through the mayor, through the chair, if possible, to look into the near future upon retirements coming in, that we, with a small police force, and again, I consider myself a staunch supporter of the police department, and I've been fighting for hiring of more rank and file police officers in town, because that's what we need. But I always said that we got too many chiefs, not many Indians. To look into the structure in conjunction with the council, in the number of captains. We currently have 3 captains for a small police department. If you can please consider going back to 2 captains, because it is my understanding that one of those captains, it is just with a function on the accreditation and this and that, but I'm not gonna go into that one, just to look into the feasibility, let's put it this way. I'm not an expert on that, but I've been sitting there and I know about budgets, and I know that in a small department, a small police department like ours, I don't think that we need to have 3 captains. Of course, the structure is like that, but it's on your hands. Thank you for listening on that one. But that can save us millions of dollars if we start thinking just around $250,000 per year between salary and benefits. That's what it costs us, 1 captain and more per year. So just in 4 years, in any turn, is $1 million. And by the way, talking about that, and I'm using the numbers of the Division of Pension and Benefits of the state of New Jersey. Out of 566 municipalities, our municipality come as one of the highest in the state of New Jersey. The highest best pay in the state of New Jersey. The median salary for a police officer in town is $141,000. I'm gonna just run that off. $141,632, I didn't say that, is the state of New Jersey. And you know what is the median household income for those at home? That's what the average people, the average resident make in town, $80,000. That tells you a lot to start thinking about doing something. The highest, the number 1, we are number 9. We shouldn't be happy about that. It's not reason to be happy. To be number 9 out of 566 municipalities. The number 1 municipality is Saddle River. Saddle River, for all of you that know, is one of the richest in the state of New Jersey. I believe that to build a house there, you have to have 1 acre or 2 acres just to build one home. You know how much an officer makes over there? $155,000. But you know what is the average income of a resident there? Is $121,000. And I don't want to go on and on. In Richwood, the average, the median income is $140,000 per resident, and the cops make $140,000. And I didn't say that. is the state of New Jersey, Division of Pension and Benefits. So, and again,
Chair, through the chair.
yes, Mayor,
Our police department, they do a fabulous job.
no question about that.
But they're paid well.
No question about that.
But just so you know, those numbers are a little bit deceiving because that's the average pay for officers here in Saddlebrook, when you take all of them, okay?
Yes.
That's just police officer. I don't believe that that's supervisory people. That's just police officer. But we have, in our department, we have, if you look, there was a figure that it said how the average amount of years that an officer had. And with Saddlebrook, it was 17 years. Paramus was 10 years. So in other words, what I'm saying is most of the officers in our department are already at the top pay. So you know what I'm saying? It's a little deceiving. Where
So we
it's an average of all the police officers combined. So if we have right now, off the top of my head, what do we have, 20 police officers? And you divide the 20,
I know how
You know
to
what I
do
mean?
the average, yes.
right, and you average it out. So that figure is high because the average amount of years is 17. So you following what I'm saying?
I'm following you, but,
I hope the audience is following me.
but it's still, it's a kind of, of concern, so that tells me.
I'll tell you this, we're in the top third, in Bergen County, and Bergen County is by far the highest paid. So we're probably in the top quarter of the state.
All right,
in pay.
so then,
On
on saying that,
right, what the top pay is, what the top patrol officer makes at the end when they reach that, we're not gonna be 10. We'll probably be in the top 100, and close. I mean, it's gonna be very close.
But once again, Mayor, and that's what even give more weight to the request that I'm asking you to look into the structure, that may be too many chiefs, not many Indians.
I hear what you're saying.
And thank you for that. And also, if you are looking for a business administrator in the near future, just in case. Yes,
With Pete sitting here, really?
just in case, because that will come out. Just in case. Please, let's look at the whole structure. We said that we were saving money with Mr. Lodico, and that's what.
This is personnel, I think this should, do you agree? I mean,
No, because we're just talking about the position.
well, you used the name.
Because he's the BA sitting here openly, but I'm saying that a position was open just to assist the business, the BA. So if that we have to cross that bridge, we have to put everything into perspective. If it's going to be worth it, if it's going to be feasible, if it's going to be money-wise the good thing for the town, just to put everything into perspective. Because we don't want to just add up if we have already in-house the personnel. One of the things that I just read is the roads. Mayor, through the chair, or maybe the council president can assist me also right here. I was reading the ordinance real quick, the ordinance that is going to be read today in second reading. And for some reason, it didn't reach the $1 million. It's $995,000, the second reading of the ordinance, but it doesn't carry no names of the streets.
We have it. Do you have this street? Do you?
No, it doesn't say on the ordinance.
It's not in the
No,
ordinance.
it's not in the
Oh,
ordinance. but
okay.
we
I would
do
like
have
to know
the
which
list
streets, please.
of the streets that are going to be done. It's Williams, I can't remember
Through
what
the
it is.
chair, there have been 3 roads that have been identified, William Street, Kenny Place, and President Street. And tonight, the council will consider North Fifth Street. And there may be one other street that
Okay.
we will choose.
We had another street, Tom Lemanowitz, our former engineer with Remington Varnick, had identified maybe 6 or 7 streets for a 2-year program. One of the streets that we were going to do this year, we're waiting to see if public service might be doing some work, so we removed it at this point. And we're hoping to,
Talking about that, last time,
Check that
and
out.
now I'm more educated. put it that way. I came last time and I asked about some roads. And I was told that you have a whole list on deck that are going to be prepared for this year. And I'm surprised that I haven't seen today great Councilman Camilleri tonight, because he just told me that it was going to be some roads. But now I was researching. And it is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, Council President, please. I'm just going by memory and getting old. I'm not too good now on numbers now. $2.2 million is going to spend in the road program. It's going to be bonded. $2.2 million. Now, if $2.2 million are going to be bonded, and I heard that it's going to be through 10 roads, $2.2 million. All right. I got a few questions. Why? I don't know if it's for amount of bonding. I was trying to check the legality. Why can't be done all 10 in 1 year, and why not in 1 year, all 10? Because the reason I'm saying this is when you go out for bidding, you're going to get a better pricing when you go out for 10 roads that from Williams. Williams is just one block. Williams, you're just talking from south of the street to Market. One block. What are we talking about? Kenny, there's no residential. It's just going to be one beneficiary that is going to be the hotel. Is that a priority for the town? I'm not saying that it should not be done. I'm just wondering the priorities of the town. However, there are other roads that are in desperate need to be fixed.
And the engineer went out and went through the town and determined what were this list of roads and what needed to be done to begin with.
Okay.
Also, through the chair, you mentioned about doing all the roads at one time, and it was the engineer's recommendation that it be broken up into different contracts and different years. In his opinion, that made more sense, because we thought the same thing. You're getting quantity, you're getting materials, but his suggestion, when we had the meeting, we're doing a 2-year program, which is where the 2.2 million estimate comes in. But it was his recommendation that it be broken up as we've done
I
last
wasn't
year.
present, but I would like to ask Mr. Orango. I have become a specialist in that. That's what I'm doing now. What we need to do is a grade 9.5 asphalt. And when we go out to bidding, we just tell the contractor how much they're gonna melt. Whether it's from 1.5 to 2.5, the machine will tell you. However, if I'm gonna bring a machine for just 2 streets, like Kenny and William, do you know the transportation from whatever they bring in the machine? However, in a small town like ours, if I'm gonna bring my machines, I'd rather mill all the streets in 1 or 2 days. And in a couple more days, I will pave it. 2 more days, I will just finish it. Because if you bring the equipment for 1 block, it is the same that if you bring in the equipment for 20 blocks. So let's just, I think, rethink about this situation. And when we go out to bidding, the contractor wish that they come more times right here instead of just 1 time. Because you can get better pricing, because they also are buying by the bulk. And they buy by the ton. They bring the trucks, they just come and go. And now, again, the priority of the streets. Claremont. But before going to Claremont, on 5th Street, the utilities, and I mentioned before, the utilities have been working, and I've been reading that it's a matching grant. It's a matching grant for 5th. A state and the municipality will do a matching grant to repay that. It's a matching grant fund. But why the town will have to pay on something that they have used it? why can we enforce an ordinance that we have in place that when a utility company open a road, they have to pay from curb to curb? Who is enforcing that? Through the chair.
Excuse me, through the chair. Fifth Street you're talking about?
Yes.
We did that work. That's water. That's why we're paving.
Right now, recently, it was the state working in there.
Fifth Street is the water main. Yes. We did it from Market Street to our water lane.
But how come the state, not just that they put the sign, but they send all their people there to check the work?
It's through the Infrastructure Trust Fund. which is
Okay,
for the new-
that is correct. So it's a
They did inspect it.
yeah, it is a project that they have.
Well, we borrowed the money from them like we did in the past.
So now we are gonna be at a 50%, paying 50% of the paving.
The paving, the project was bonded a couple years ago for
Does it include the paving?
1.9 million. Include paving. The money's there for the paving.
So we're
We
not gonna
also
pay
have
nothing?
grants. We also have grants from the DOT. For the past 3 years, we've gotten grants,
Mm-hmm.
grant awards. So that's going to be applied for the paving. The whole project of Fifth Street, we went through the New Jersey Infrastructure Trust Fund, as we did a few years back for sewers. We got a very low or no interest when the program's done. So that was through the state of New Jersey for the funding, but we're still paying it. We still pay it back.
Through the chair, Mr. Lodico, the reason I'm still going into that one, and I'm just gonna be brief on this one, I'm just gonna use one example because every day I go to the same road, Madison Avenue. It's a brand new road. It was recently paved. A company came, and they have done work from North 7 all the way to 46. They patch it, but it's uneven. Who's checking that?
I
Who-
believe, and I could be wrong, that's the looping of the line back from Fifth Street, but we have to check. I
But-
know it's coming back across 46.
But again,
North 7.
my point is this: who is enforcing the law? The law says that any company like PSE&G, you know how many times they break into the streets, whether new or not? Once they break it, they have to pave it brand new from curb to curb. That's what our ordinance reads.
And we did the project, so of course that's something we would address.
But
It
in
was an
this-
outside contractor, it was the township.
But now, if you go through Madison Avenue, a brand new street is uneven. How can we accept that as a job that it was paved like that?
It's not finished, it's just the patch. It's a patch until. we come
Wow!
back-
You know how long it's been?
Yeah.
A year and a half?
That's Fifth Street.
Wow. Year and a half, 2 years. There is no time then. So you're in control of that. You are keeping the track.
Through the engineer, yes.
I'm gonna keep on doing that. Claremont, Floral Lane, South Broadway, Fairlawn Parkway. Those are roads that need to be done. Those are roads that are in desperate need. And if I hear that they're gonna do Caldwell is not in bad shape.
Caldwell, we have a state grant,
Who choose the streets?
the engineer.
And through, with all respect to the
school
chair, can, I don't know, can I just make a proposal to the chair, Mr. Mayor? Can those streets be reviewed in order of priority? Even though that I don't live in those areas, but you gotta pass by those streets. I know that the county is gonna pave from end to end Market Street, but we as a town should take care of our own first, the ones that are more deteriorated. And those are some of the streets that actually are crying for help.
Unfortunately, Mr. Rodriguez, you're right. Every street, we haven't had a road program probably in 15, 20 years. And it takes time to catch up on paving roads. And we're going to start doing
But
that.
please, again, and with this I finish on roads, please consider, if we're gonna spend $1 million tonight that is gonna be adopted, and we still don't have the name of the streets, and the name of the streets that are coming up or popping up is Kenny, Williams, that is one street from South to Market. Can someone explain that to me?
We'll have the
One
list
block?
for you. We'll have the list for you.
No, but,
We have the, do you
yeah,
have the list?
but one block?
William Street is from Market Street to South
Yeah,
Street.
it's one block. One block.
We did the work to the other
Yes,
side
yeah.
last year. so
But in this case, it's
we
one
wanna get
block.
completed.
Uh-huh. But it's one block. That should be like an extension of anything that we're gonna do over there, but not considered part of a project.
You have the other streets or on?
I have William Street, Kenny Place, President Street, North Fifth Street, and then there are a number of other streets that we had given you. They are Dana Way, Erie Street, Hayes Drive,
Case Drive is in need.
uh,
Not because you're here, Mr. Samiloka, but it's in need.
Legregni.
McGregny.
I'm not good on
All right.
Wilson, too.
South Broadway,
Part of Wilson, yeah. Third Street.
Claremont Avenue.
Oh, there we go. You see, there we're talking now. We understanding each other.
There is a list.
No, but because it's not over there, I need to.
But it's not part of this, not all of those streets are part of the program this
Right,
year.
these are the
These are
streets. that-
2 years.
Those are the streets that were proposed, but are those gonna be
2
part
years.
of a program anytime soon?
This year, next year.
All those streets.
Well, hopefully. That was what the cost estimate of 2.2 million came to.
And in closing the roads, please reconsider doing it 3 roads like that. The bids will come at a lower price. If you put either with the Smithsonian or any of the local areas, whether it's gonna be 10 streets, 5 or 10, 15 streets. In closing, I would like to say once again, Council President, if you can please try to enforce or put an ordinance on something that we've been talking for months, and I know that the mayor will not be in disagreement with this because he would like to see everybody paying their fair share of taxes, not just more the people paying for quite a few that are not paying their fair share of taxes. Something needs to be done about the temporary COs. That need to stop. And if someone in due legality is doing the temporary COs, then they should not be allowed to live in that property without paying their full taxes. Why it can't be that they built a mansion, $800,000, $700,000 with kids in the school system paying $4,000? For how many years we gonna continue allowing that? It will be nice for everybody if they know the loophole, they will be doing the same. Hey, I want a temporary CO, but I will never get my permanent CO because I'm gonna pay full taxes. But it could be up to 10 years that they're still doing it, just paying a fraction of what they're supposed to be paying. Because they paying with the old little house was $4,000, $5,000, but the real value now should be $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 paying in taxes. They build new homes, but they don't want to pay the full taxes.
But with
Yes,
this
Mayor.
rolling reassessment, they're gonna pick up on that.
Doubt it very much, Mayor. Doubt it very much. And once again, and I want to go clear, and you can send the owner of the reassessment company on video right here, sit down one-on-one with me and any of you. And I don't want to say that whoever was here before is right. But in a house, a 2-family house, for someone to tell me, check my time, 1 minute and 35 seconds. You tell me, what can you check in 1 minute and 35 seconds? It was like an exercise. Brook, Brook, bye. I wasn't yet inside your house. Be happy.
But
What the hell is that?
You'll be able to tell if it's a mansion.
But in 1 hour and 35 seconds, the problem is that they're not checking against nothing. Against
They're
nothing.
Comparing it to the old card.
But they don't have nothing on their hand. They can't with nothing. They just say, check, check.
Yeah, but they have that information.
Yes, but they're not checking the rooms. That's what I'm trying to say. If
You're
I'm,
not checking in the number of rooms, how many rooms there are in
no,
the house?
no,
They checked
no,
my whole house.
okay,
Through my whole house.
okay, I can tell you the majority, they didn't even go. I wanna call them on purpose, just because I wanna see how long it takes the process. Just for being curious. But then again, if you can do that through an ordinance, the temporary COs should not they should not be inside the resident unless they have a permanent CO. Because if you're already living in there, it means that it's livable. Then pay your taxes. Why they gotta pay the small portion of taxes? Of course, everybody would like to pay 4,000 instead of 13,000. So that's something that is a loophole, and I believe that it should be fair for everybody and all the residents that everybody pay their fair share of taxes. Thank you all for listening, and I'm sorry for taking out your time. Have a good night.
Thank you.
I know you're gonna hate this, but through the chair, I
No.
have a question. Are you leaving?
Oh,
Yeah, I just,
come back?
and it's, depends on how long you're gonna talk, 'cause my question's not
Chair
gonna, I
said
know,
no.
I know.
Oh, the chair said no?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You want to? Well, okay.
He's already out the door.
Marilyn Acella, 152 Claremont Avenue. I've lived there 24 years now. I think it's been paved once. I never thought I'd agree with the previous predecessor, but if you measured it from Westminster all the way down, I think we're looking at least a quarter mile, maybe a third of a mile. I did it years ago. If you look at the traffic pattern, whenever Market Street's backed up, they're cutting down my block. And they're flying, and I've complained about that. I mean, there's a lot of kids on that block, and they're flying and flying and flying down. That's one problem. But the amount of potholes, the amount of times that DPW has to come and patch in front of my house, I get a lake in front of my house because of where the water drainage and the pitch is, and they keep patching up the holes. I've blown tires coming out of my driveway with the potholes in front of my house. They patch them. They do a great job patching them, but a patch is not going to survive. The cars fly down in droves. The trucks come down in droves. The buses come down in droves. We are a cut-through block. And if it doesn't get paved soon, there's going to be more problems. So anything can be done for Claremont Avenue. I, for one, would appreciate it. And about 25 of my other neighbors, 3 that are in this room, would probably appreciate it, and everyone driving down it would appreciate it. That being said, I know that there's an order in which things have to be done, but I also know that there have been blocks that have been paved and paved and paved again. What's sadder is when you see a block paved, and within a year it's ripped up for something else, and then it's only half patch paved. So I think things have to be looked at a little bit smarter as well when it comes to that. I don't know whose job that is. I'm just kind of making a general statement. So again, if we could look at the order maybe of the blocks and maybe based on usage and damage, I'm not too sure, but we need to be there at some point. I hope it's not another 25 years. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak? Motion to close. All in favor? Okay, comments. Mr. Simaluka.
Okay, what I was going to ask Mr. Rodriguez was, I was a little curious about the math, in that we would save $250,000 if we did not fill the captain's slot. And he would be 100% correct if the captain's slot, that third slot, would be filled by some outside person who would just come in from another organization and plop them in there. But as we know, there are promotions. So the third captain, should there be one, is currently a lieutenant. I don't know the pay structure right now, but what ends up happening, realistically, is generally what happens, is under our table of organization, the lieutenant becomes a captain, a sergeant becomes a lieutenant, and a patrolman becomes a sergeant. Certainly each of them get a raise, but it's not $250,000 a year. If there's a $10,000 increase by rank, and again, these are just numbers I'm guessing at, it's $30,000 a year, as opposed to somebody else. It's not like we're taking someone from Ridgewood and saying, come in and you could be the third captain. Certainly he would be right, but he's incorrect when he talks about that. Another thing about the incorrect, what I believe, and again, these are all opinions, just everybody up there is just giving an opinion. We're giving opinions. You could like them or not, you can agree with them or not, but again, they're opinions, and you know,
disagree 100% on an issue with my best friend. Doesn't mean, we're not still best friends. But when he's talked about an investigation and how much money it costs, he fails to realize, and you go back in history, and this is even before the internet was big. Just, you go to council minutes. The speaker was talking about money and money saved on investigation, but he was the person who was the chief architect of an investigation against a former mayor. And I believe it ended up costing us $40,000 to $50,000. It did not result in a conviction. It did not result even in an indictment, and it didn't even result in an arrest. So, talk about witch hunts, that's what it was. And believe me, I was no fan of the person at that time. Since then I have become. But I was no fan of the person at that time who was being investigated. And it was, in fact, a witch hunt. And I did come to his defense, because I just thought it was ridiculous that they were ganging up on him for something that had absolutely no merit. But that individual was the person who caused this town $40,000 to $50,000, and it certainly came out to be a whole lot of nothing. Let me see. I can't read. He also was mistaken. When he talked about a D variance, he said it's a big issue. It could be a big issue, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a big issue. Case in point, before the council changed the zoning ordinance to include places like On the Spot and the VFW and the Saddlebrook Diner, if the Saddlebrook Diner wanted to change their window from 6-foot window to 8-foot window, they'd have to come before the board and get what's called a D variance, have it go before a zoning board. So it's more in terms of whether or not you're doing things, or you'd like to do something in a zone that says that you can't do it without a variance. That's all it is. And again, a variance means that you're asking for an exception or a waiver. There's different ways to put it. But you're asking that the board, who's chosen by the members of the council in terms of a zoning board, to allow you to do something that you otherwise couldn't do, which would be build on a lot that's not under our laws big enough, or put something that might be 4.5 feet from a property line where it says 5. I know in my case, when I did my addition, I think I was off my side yard by 3 inches or something like that. So you had to go for a variance. It's what we do. Now, in terms of the senior housing, we talk about how quick this thing is getting done. At first, it was taking, it went too fast. Then it was too slow. And now the condemnation or the taking down of the property is I guess it's too fast now. I would say that we do anything that we can to get that thing down. If you have to declare it a blighted area, if you have to declare it a danger, you do whatever you have to do under the law to get that down. It shouldn't be there. It's useless. It's negative. It has a negative value, as a judge already had determined. So just get rid of it as soon as you can. Whatever word you have to do under the law to get it done, get it done. My position, it's always been. In terms of sanctuary cities, I don't know what position the speaker had talked about. Certainly, I think Saddlebrook, and I agree 100% with the mayor on that. When I was prosecuting in a certain town, this is well before Trump, because people say that this whole thing ramped up during Trump. This is well before Trump came in under the Obama administration. We had ICE agents who would come to court, and they would look at the court calendar, and they'd look at names, and they'd type it in. And not everybody showed up, but when they saw someone that had been deported and was back in, they came, and when the person left court, they would be arrested. But certainly, I don't get the fact that there are communities and there are government officials that are basically saying, this is the law, and you can break the law, and we'll allow you. We'll not only allow you to break the law, but we'll protect you. And we're going to stop other governmental agencies which are above us. You're talking about stopping the federal government. You're talking about a local police department stopping the federal government from doing their job under the law. I think it's ridiculous. Mr. Sudol came in about the flooding. I wish we had an answer that we can do something quicker, but I know that it was strange that every time we had the heavy rain, and we've had some heavy rains, I would call Pete and say, anything going on? Because I'm thinking of Emil. Actually, every time it rains, I think of him. And I'm like, what's going on 5th Street? What's going on over there? Everything's fine. We actually have the meeting. I think it might have been a meeting where he didn't talk about the flooding. And then the next day, it rains. I think even Pete called me up. He said, hey, guess what? 5th Street flooded. But that same rainfall, I mean, I'm looking on TV, and there's people dying, I mean, in some towns. So all that being said, I don't know if any houses got it, and horrible if they did, and I hope they didn't. But some rainfalls, you look at some communities, and they're communities to here, that their cars floating down the street. I know that in East Rutherford, I think under the train trestle over there were cars that were floating all over the place. So hopefully this last stage will help, but I think anybody up here would be lying and say that that area is never going to flood. I mean, it's at the bottom of the hill. It's off a street called Hillside. So, and we're in a town that's got a body of water in its name. So there is a possibility that there is, and our job would be hopefully to stop it, and if we can't stop it completely, to try and keep it as little as possible. Also, Emil was very involved in the county, and unfortunately I was ill and I could not attend, that they had some county meetings, and through the mayor, I did speak to the mayor, and we really have to get on the county because our benches and tables are an eyesore. If anyone from the county, this goes throughout the county, if anyone from the county or has any pull in the county is watching this, you know, we're not happy with the way Saddlebrook is being treated in our park. And I'll say our park, Otto C. Peely Park, which we share with Rochelle Park. It's our park. And we'd like it to be given the same care that you give an overpeck or not even a Dunker Hook, but the duck pond over on Ridgewood, in some of those areas. We have the fishing contest coming up in 9 days. I guess it's not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And sometimes you always have new people coming in. That's maybe one of the first times that they see the park, other than just the jungle gyms and things like that. And hopefully they'll clean it up so this way it looks really nice. In terms of that park bench, I always say this, be careful what you wish for, because for every person who says, I wish my grandpa had a place to sit, you're gonna have a resident saying, can't believe you put the park bench there. Now we got kids hanging out there and they're smoking cigarettes all hours of the day and night. So, you know, maybe we should, I know Karen was big on that, polling the community and see what they say, because they're the ones who are gonna be affected by it the most. I don't know. Just want to wish the graduates a safe and happy graduation. By the time next time we'll be on here, you will have been out of school, and wish you a success in the future. Just be safe, be very careful out there, because it is dangerous. And happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Thank you.
Flo?
My mother always said, if you had nothing nice to say. Anyway, at this point, I would like to just I'd just like to congratulate our cheerleaders tonight. The mayor did an awesome presentation. I'd like to the parents and all the coaches for a job well done. And also, I got to agree on Claremont. Really, I just mentioned it before the meeting. I can't believe the potholes on Claremont. And, you know, I hope that we may have to look into it once again, even if it's only up to the hill. Half of Claremont's fine with me. Anyway, and I just would like to wish all the graduates from pre-K to graduate school, congratulations. I'm so very proud of each and every one of you. And happy Father's Day. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to you, Todd, then the mayor, and I'll.
Okay. Well, I happen to agree with Mr. Sudo. As a parent who goes to that park, or did go to that park, something to sit on would be fantastic, other than standing around or kneeling on the grass. And that's what our police are for. So if they're doing something wrong, then police should be called, and they could earn that big salary that one while we're saying, you know what I mean? The other thing that Mr. Sewell said, because I also thought about him the day after that rain, and we spoke about this. I did spend a few hours down there with the inmates and the county and the mosquito commission. They did clean it out. They took some big brush out of there, but I do believe what you said is there's got to be something with the drainage, because if you're going to clean all that out and it's just getting stuck at an area and it resides pretty quickly, I'm no engineer, but I'm just thinking that if we have a 10-inch pipe, maybe they could go a little higher to 15, 20, whatever it is to accommodate the drainage. So I don't know if, like, you're professional. I'm just making a comment because I was there, and I really don't think, although it helped a little bit, that it's going to make a big difference with the drainage. Because what we did is we did pull some brush out of there, maybe some debris, but I don't think we pulled anything in excess that would help the flow of water through that area. And that's just my opinion. I'm not a professional, it's just my opinion. But hopefully it did help. But in all fairness, that rainstorm, in less than 3 hours, we got 2.2 inches of rain. So you gotta take that into consideration, because again, as an employee in Hackensack, a 7-minute commute took me 48 minutes that day.
I was there too.
Yeah, so you know, so it's that much rain. I don't know if any drainage system is going to be able to handle that much. And what was I going to say? I would like to wish all the kids a safe weekend. It's prom weekend this weekend for the high school students. So think smart. Think of your parents before you do anything stupid, because that's who you're going to hurt the most. And happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. Regarding the Fifth Street, I'm really concerned about the mention of sewerage coming up. So I think that that's something that we really have to get with the engineer and find out what the deal is there with that. There was an awful lot of rain. You know, you're gonna get flash flooding by the location, but that's a very big concern of mine. Councilman Simaluga, regarding the parks, I did get in touch with the county. They're assuring me that it's gonna be done by our picnic. They're in Van Saun now, they're Carpenter, and they keep assuring me, and I keep calling them, because I've received, not only yourself, I have received other complaints about the park benches by the pavilion. While I'm on, Andrew, I just want to say, I actually want to apologize for the other night, because I kind of was a little short with you about the crane ordinance, and we took your idea, and we got together with our risk manager, Mr. Suarez, got in touch with him, and he also got in touch with JIF, a member of JIF, and they're suggesting some changes regarding the liability coverage. But the good thing is they're 100% in agreement with it. They think it's a good idea. A lot of other towns are doing the same thing, and it does indemnify us. I know you were concerned about the whole thing with, you know, are we assuming liability, and the ordinance does totally indemnify us. But they were concerned about some of the coverages, and said that the crane operators or the crane owners, what they suggested is it's nothing outlandish. It seems like a lot of money, but for what they're doing, this is typical coverage that they need to have. The ordinance does apply to mostly heavy-duty type of cranes with a lift capacity of 10 tons. Most of it's construction, but there are some of those type of cranes that do tree work and other things in town. So it would only apply to the big machinery. We're not looking to go with small equipment to Emil's point. You know, we're not looking to start regulating a backhoe or normal or typical type of construction equipment that is used on a daily basis. But these big, huge cranes, it is a lot. It's a lot of liability. It's dangerous when you see, you know, the kind of work. And to me, it's a good. We're gonna introduce it next month, and I think it's for the public safety. It's a good thing. I think it's something that other towns are doing, and it'll be good for us as well.
Yeah, as long as it's like I said, I just
Right.
wanted to see somebody else,
Right.
insurance-wise, sign off on it.
Right,
So
and,
I have
and,
no
and you know
problem.
what too, see, and I had mentioned, we've been talking about this quite a bit, but you weren't at the work session prior. We had a big conversation about that the previous month at the work session, and you weren't here, so I was assuming that you,
No problem.
were aware of that. Regarding a couple of good things, we received $24,600 in clean community grant funds. We also received notice from the New Jersey DOT 2017 Municipal Aid Program. We received $165,000 plus for Phase 3 of the North Fifth Street project, which is going to be used to pave Fifth Street from Market to Outwater. That's the resolution that we, I believe we have on tonight. We're considering putting it on. I don't know, Pete, do we have that on, the resolution for, okay. We also received $40,000 for selling an easement to a Lodi developer, the old Knapp Chemical Company on Main Street. Our sewer, which goes all the way to Passaic Valley, goes through that area, and there's a little easement that they wanted to buy from us, and it's not gonna impact our getting to that sewer if anything ever happens to it. So they purchased it for $40,000, which is a nice thing for us. It's some revenue. Some other things, I want to thank Bergen County Shared Services Coordinator Tom Richards. We talked about this drainage behind the factories on North Fifth Street. He arranged the Bergen County Mosquito Commission and the inmate program. I just want to thank Sheriff Sordino for providing that inmate labor. They did a great job over there cleaning out. I hope it does have an impact. There is other things we have to do there, I believe, and we got to get Rick over there to take a look, because there's something else I think we can do. We have a resolution on tonight. There's an agreement was worked out with Colonial Bonding, so hopefully we can move ahead with the construction of the concession stand and bathrooms at Veterans Field. We have been working on that, to Larry's point, about the 10 days. We got on them they were doing nothing prior to that, so basically it was an ultimatum. We got to get moving on this, and we did. It worked. We basically, I don't know if I could say it, we pretty much said, look, if you don't move, we're gonna, there's gonna be a lawsuit. I say that. But, so, it worked. We got things in motion. Had a very busy month in May. On Wednesday, May 3rd, Council President Arminio and I attended the Central Bergen Regional Community Development Meeting, and we presented our application to them. We have another meeting. Hopefully we'll be awarded what we requested, or at least part of what we requested. On Saturday, May 6th, the town had a free shredding event behind Coolidge School from 9 to 1. It was very well attended. A lot of residents took advantage and came out. On Thursday, May 11th at 7 p.m., we had a special meeting to amend our budget, which we spoke about tonight. On Saturday, May 13th, was the VFW installation dinner. I want to congratulate all the VFW members that were installed. We did have En La Cosa there. They videotaped it, and that's being broadcast now on Facebook, our website, and our Town TV channels. On Monday, May 15th at 12 p.m., the police department held their memorial service out in front of Town Hall. It was very nice. Tuesday, May the 24th, 4 p.m., Councilman Accomondo and I and Business Administrator Ludico, we attended a Board of Education liaison meeting at the high school, middle school. It's really working out well, because we're discussing a lot of issues that pertain to both the town and the board, and it's working very well for us. I think think Todd will agree to that. You know, it's a good thing we are meeting with them. So we're getting some things resolved. On Sunday, May 28th, the council and I took part in our Memorial Day services starting in the morning, 9 o'clock, and then the parade. I want to thank the VFW Parade Committee, congratulate the Grand Marshal Bill Burns, Police Department, Fire Department, Ambulance, DPW for all their assistance. Also, the Mayor's Youth Group this year, they participated, they marched with us, and they actually held our governing body banner. I also want to thank the members of the youth group that week. They also worked with the First Reformed Church, and they painted garden stakes and with the names of all the fallen officers from Saddlebrook, and they put them along the parade route. There was an elderly disabled person that they went over to the house and they cleaned up the house to make it, spruce it up. It was right along the parade route, which is very nice. We had, there was 2 separate videos, and La Cosa broke it up into the services and then also the, you know, the parade. And I also want to thank former Mayor Darminio. He did a great job as the commentator. I watched part of it. It's really nice. It's a nice production. And also, we want to thank all our veterans, you know, all those officers, all those veterans who served in combat and currently serving now, and the ones that are, you know, just served in the military, not in combat. You know, it's what they've done for our country is an awesome thing, and you know, we're basically free, and we have all the rights we do because of them. If we didn't have that, we didn't have them serving for us, I don't know where we'd be. We certainly wouldn't be the great country we are today. Upcoming events, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'm very proud to say that we have Angelina Pilata going to be sworn in as a Chief for a Day here in town. That Chief for a Day is a program that started about 10 years ago. Bergen County Chiefs Association did it. All the participating departments, they choose, each department chooses one child, a special child from their town to be the chief for the day. And the program starts off in the morning, includes the person being swearing in ceremony, being sworn in as the chief for the day, a roll call briefing with the police personnel, a command staff meeting, tour of headquarters and equipment. It's just a really nice thing. And then after all the local activities are done, they go down to the county justice center, and then they have a big, large motorcade that takes them to a luncheon ceremony. So it's really an amazing thing, and hopefully, you know, the chief will take a lot of pictures, and it's nice to see the child that gets chosen. It's a real treat for them. Sunday, June the 4th at 1 p.m. is the ARP installation of officers and the luncheon at the senior center. Our new president's going to be Joe Lisi. He's got a tough act to follow because our council president, Karen, has been the president for 2 years now, I believe, right? 4 years, okay.
Time to go.
But are you vice president?
I'm vice
Okay,
president.
she's going to be vice president. And who else we have? I know Marie Cattuso is
She's our
treasurer.
treasurer, 95 years old.
Yeah,
We have,
secretary?
Nancy is going, we have a new secretary.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But Nancy serves, she's gonna be 94, she served for the last 15 years.
Very nice.
And Evelyn Totoro did the trips for 45 years, she's stepping down from that. So we have some new people coming in, which is good.
Very nice. Saturday, June the 10th, 9 a.m. to 12 noon is our fishing contest, which is sponsored by the Kiwanis Club. It takes place at Saddle River County Park by the Otto Pelly Lake. All the participants get trophies. There's 3 awards for top catches and by size. It's free to all residents, and you must register by Wednesday, the 7th, this Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I should say, the 7th. Monday, July the 3rd is our town fireworks display at Saddle River County Park. It starts at dusk. I want to thank the VFW, Post 3484 again for sponsoring the fireworks. So it's going to be a nice night. Tomorrow is Gun Violence Awareness Day. I just wanted to say this, a local resident that emailed me saying that his mother's involved in this. And I just, you know, gun violence kills, they say 90 Americans a day and injures hundreds more. I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment right
for law-abiding citizens to bear arms. But I also feel that there's room for reasonable gun legislation. It's a good thing. New Jersey actually has one of the strictest gun laws in the country, and more, I think more states need to follow what we do here in New Jersey, especially assault rifles. I mean, there's no need for an assault rifle, I'm sorry. You know what, I was a police officer, and I actually kind of a gun enthusiast, and I don't see any reason why anybody should have that. Even a collector, to me, it's just not a good thing, but that's just me. I want to congratulate the cheerleaders tonight for their ceremony and for their spectacular year, and happy Father's Day.
Todd?
I'm sorry, just one more thing. Mr. Tychek mentioned the overgrown properties. If in fact you do live next door or around them, you can contact the mosquito commission in Bergen County, and they will come and spray your property. I mean, I know it doesn't get a cut, but at least it's some help. Because I know there's one around the corner from me, and you just walk by and the bugs are just flying around. So, that's it.
I'm just going to be very short, but I wanted to ask you a question, Rick, because in the original road improvement program for this year, I may be mistaken, but I was trying to look through my notebook. I believe Caldwell was one of them. Flo, do you remember that? Because we even, I'm not, Claremont was one of them that was on. It, for this year.
Now, whether that was picked. As I understand, we identified 3. There was one more that we were going to look at.
Yeah, see, I thought it was clear. I thought, but we have to look
We
at
had taken,
something off.
yes, because PSEG may be doing some work, so there might be room to add.
Yeah, because we did discuss, just so that you know that, talking about the parade, it was a great parade. The VFW, they do a great job. I guess if you watched it, you'll know that 16 young people are serving currently from town in the military, which is really, I thought, great. And the cheerleaders, congratulations. The graduates, congratulations. Happy Father's Day. And before we move on, Pete, would you like to say something?
Yes, thanks, Madam President. I'd just like to clarify on the road program because we talked about President Street. We're not doing President Street, PSEG is paving President Street, but we are going to make some improvements on President Street and pave the areas that they're not paving, which is like one block, Midland Avenue to First Street, and 8th Street to 10th Street. Liberty Street, we're going to be working on that project, and we're tying in road improvements with drainage, water, sewer utilities. That's being reviewed. Liberty Street, we're fortunate to get a grant from Community Development, and that would include paving of Liberty Street. Caldwell Avenue, we did receive a DOT grant, and Rick can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the DOT looks at criteria such as near a school, a county road. Caldwell Avenue was chosen a few years back because of Franklin School, and we were awarded the grant there. In the past, we've gotten grants for Fairlawn Parkway, 4 phases of Oxford Avenue, again, because of the school and the county roads. 5th Street, again, that's in connection with the improvement of the water system there, and we have 3 grants from DOT that hopefully we'll be using in the towards this, and we're going to go out to bid. And we always look at infrastructure before paving any of the roads. I just wanted to clarify that even though President Street's on the list, PSE&G, due to the ordinance that the mayor and council passed 2 years ago, they pave curb to curb, but they only paved the area that they disturbed, and it didn't make sense to have them do from 2nd to 8th and not finish the road.
Through the chair, Pete, question about that. I know we have an ordinance that requires public service or any utilities
Yes.
to pave curb to curb. But if it's just, let's say it's an emergency job in front of one person's house, and it's, whatever, Maple Ave, and it's in the middle of the street, does our ordinance say that they're required to pave the entire street?
I think
Even if it's
the
just
engineer
one-
does final review on that. Without reviewing the ordinance, I think it's for major projects because that's
Yeah,
when we talked about it.
That's what I thought.
There are times we do it, we open up for water break, we open up for maybe to check a sewer. PSCNG does an emergency gas leak, and they'll dig it. And I believe Tom mentioned there's a procedure with infrared.
Infrared, yes.
Yes, where it seams the road, and you don't have to, I think we did on Sylvan. There was an emergency repair that had to be made, and the contractor used that procedure because the road had just been repaired, and
Yeah,
there are different procedures that we
yes,
can
the
use.
infrared procedure works well on recently paved roads where you can cut the road, and when you repave it, you use the infrared, and what it does, it blends the new pavement with the old pavement, since they're relatively new. You really don't see the seam. So it's a way of trying to make it look nicer.
I think
But
what
I do
we're,
have a note to review your street opening ordinance.
I think as you mentioned, Mayor, it depends on the situation. If it's an emergency small repair at the curb versus ripping out the street.
Right.
And we've had that in the past where they've only paved halfway, and then it breaks down within a few years.
Is that it?
Thank you.
Ordinances?
Final reading, ordinance 1627-17 is a bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of roads resurfacing, curb replacement, and repair and replacement of sanitary sewer lines of various locations. In by 4, that should be roads, I'm sorry. In by 4, the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $995,000, pay costs thereof. Make a down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds for a second reading.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio?
Yes.
A bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of road resurfacing, curb replacement, and repair and replacement of sanitary sewer lines at various locations in by for the Township of Saddlebrook, in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $995,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Motion?
Motion. Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio?
Yes.
So,
Motion to open to the public on this ordinance only?
Motion.
Second?
Was that the motion before?
Yeah. Second, I need a second.
I think we already did it.
Oh, did you? All in favor? I'm
Aye.
sorry, I didn't hear you. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance and this ordinance only, please come up. Seeing none, motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the ordinance entitled, "A Bond Ordinance to Authorize the Undertaking of Road Resurfacing, Curb Replacement, and Repair and Replacement of Sanitary Sewer Lines at various locations in by for the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $995,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Does now pass on second and final reading, and that the Township Clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of ordinance according to law.
Motion,
Motion to approve.
Second.
roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio?
Yes.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or member so requests it, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence, reports, and approval of minutes and applications. Not part of consent agenda is resolution number 11.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Alcomondo?
Yes.
Council President Arminio.
Yes.
Resolution number 11 is payment of bills, Stone Brook Garden.
Motion to
Move.
approve?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Abstain.
Councilman Alcomondo?
Yes.
Council President Arminio.
Yes.
It's a closed session for a few minutes.
Okay, old business and new business and close?
No.
Do it now, old business?
Just, I believe the mayor said, and I just have to say, we may be on opposite sides of the aisle politically, but I gotta commend the mayor. He did give a tremendous Memorial Day speech at the Korean monument, so, and I told him that. I thought he should read it here, but I guess I've probably taken up too much time by speaking. And just, it was an honor to be able to participate in the Memorial Day Parade. Thank you to the VFW for sponsoring it, and thank you to all our veterans for their service. Thank you.
Anyone else? New business? No? I'd like to have a motion to open the meeting to the public for agenda items only.
Motion.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Alcomondo?
Yes.
Council President Arminio.
Yes. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up on agenda items only. Seeing none, motion to close.
Motion.
Second?
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Alcomondo?
Yes.
Council President Arminio.
Yes. So we need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion.
Whereas the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook desires to meet for the purpose of a closed session to discuss litigation, negotiation of contracts, and whereas the Open Public Meetings Act does make an exception and allows a public body to hold a closed session to discuss these items, now therefore be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the closed session to take place on June 1st, 2017 at 7:00 p.m. or sooner after as the matter can be reached at the municipal building be closed to the public and to the press, and that the results of the discussion at the closed session will be released to the public when the reasons for discussing and acting on a closed session no longer exists.
Motion?
Motion.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Alcomondo?
Yes.
And Council President Dominio.
Yes. We're now into closed session. Have a good
Cheers.
evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, do you know who to make this check to?
Yes. We have a resolution for council consideration, resolution number 14, which substitutes Truno Associates for another company and working with the Colonial Surety Bond. And we authorize the mayor, township clerk, to execute any documents for the substitution and effectuate the project to move forward.
Motion?
Motion. Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes, thank God.
Councilwoman Maiser?
Yes.
Councilman Alcomondo?
Yes.
Council President Arminio.
Yes.
That's it.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.